Today's conversation is going to be very simply on a millennial's parents' guide to social media, which by default has become Instagram.
We work closely with experts, with parents, guardians, and young people from India, and we've got the parental supervision tools in the family center. Now, as we see it, that these tools address a critical need for resources, because again, to your first question on what is the kind of, is there a lived experience that contributed to it, right? Parents have said they need to be educated about digital services. And we want to talk about all our efforts on keeping teens safe. Again, the intention is what I just said, to strike the balance between the desire that young people have for autonomy when using Instagram, but also to allow for supervision in a way that supports conversations between parents and young people, or parents and guardians and young people when it's useful, right? So basically what this allows you to do is manage how much time that young people are spending on Instagram by setting a screen time limits, scheduling breaks during the day, during the week. Guardians and parents can view what accounts the young people are following and the accounts that follow their young people. It allows you in a way to stay up to date with who your minor is connecting with on Instagram. You will also be notified when the teen reports someone, and young people can choose to notify you if they make a report, like if they're reporting to Instagram. So you can discuss like what happened, what made the report, what was that experience like. So this is basically a kind of like a high summary of how the tool works. It's accompanied by the family center, which again, and this has really come very strongly from all the conversations we've had in India, that parents are saying, how can we figure out where the tools lie? How can we figure out what are the other safety features? How can we have those conversations? Gender, sexuality, creativity. How do we talk about these issues? Like a significant number of parents really who say, we just don't know how to broach those subjects. How do we talk if there's something going on in my child's mind, right? Well-being is an important issue. It's critical to the work that we do on Instagram. So we've also launched something earlier this year called Take a Break. What is Take a Break? Again, addressing concerns that sometimes, especially our young users, spend time on Instagram, and before you know it, they've spent a lot of time on the platform. And we want that time to be enabling and empowering. So we've launched something called Take a Break earlier in the year, where basically you can go and set a limit, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever works for you. And at the end of that, you'll get a full screen notification saying, hey, you spent X amount of time. Do you want to take a break? And these are kind of some of the steps that you could do. Listen to this music, read a book, get these resources, like just take a break. Because sometimes even as an adult, I need to be reminded that, hey, I need to kind of like step off, this might be time. So I've tried it as well. And some of these are just like the enabling tools that we have. And I think the supervision tools is kind of playing into that. And, in just that parents want to get a glimpse on what's going on here. What is this about? What's the fuss about? And this is kind of a foot in the door.
The key to all of this lies, of course, in getting hold of your child's Instagram password. That's the key to, is it Natasha? Is that the key?
No.
How do you still manage to if you don't know their password?
So this is the way the tool works, is that you have to initiate supervision and your teen has to accept it. So this is no backdoor entry that anybody gets for supervision, right? This is not like brother watching. You have to have that conversation to say, I want an insight. What I can do is limited. You're not going to be able to see the DMs. You cannot go into those private messaging. So it's not like suddenly all their activity is open. Yeah. We've been very, very thoughtful, very, very mindful of what is it that the parents want. When a minor logs on to Instagram, signs up for Instagram, they are defaulted to a private account, which means we're saying that you're a minor and we at Instagram believe that you're better off with a private account. It is flexible. The minor has the option because we've got a lot of feedback. A lot of them want to be creators. They want to be entrepreneurs and they want to test what audiences are like. And for that, they need a wider audience. So we left that to them, but we default them to this private experience. We don't allow adults who are unconnected to minors to reach them. And we are constantly giving out alerts to minors to say, hey, so-and-so is trying to reach you, but be mindful of who you accept it from. This is again, the kind of like underscoring your safety in your hands. Advertisers and what they can find out information about minors and the kind of ads that they can show also now increasingly and very heavily kind of restricted. I think you can do age, gender, location only, and you can't go down interests, etc. And the categories of content that you can show, ads that you can show, also restricted. So all of this sits in kind of like a wider body of work, which is also constantly evolving as we kind of hear and learn more about all that we need to do. And well-being really is a very important piece. I'll wrap by saying, for example, on well-being at exam time this year, children were going into classrooms to take their board exams after not being in classrooms for 2 years. And we're hearing that, again, resources are an issue. So we launched the Instagram Dealing with Exam Stress Guide. And the idea was just like, hey, it's natural to feel stressed. This is how you could feel. If it's lightweight, this is what you do. If it's not, you need to speak to somebody. And if you still need, here are these resources, numbers, links, etc., who you can reach out to, because we have been told that it's not necessarily always the family who the minor can reach out to. Sometimes they want to reach out to someone outside, and that experience also works well. So, and what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of work. This is a critical piece that we have, but these conversations for us are very important because I think we keep our ear to the ground this way and hear from the likes of those on the panel. Setting up supervision on Instagram will require a teen and their parent or guardian. First, the teen or parent sends an invitation for supervision. So the teen can initiate, the parent can initiate. Then the invitation has to be accepted and supervision starts. If a teen sends the invitation, they must confirm that the parent who accepted the invitation is the correct person, because you want to make sure that, we're not having this supervision now go to somebody whose hands we don't want it to rest at. So we've kind of built in that as well, just to be doubly assured on the process, but it needs to be initiated and accepted. Either can initiate, but the other has to accept, because that agency has to be there. This is a legit concern, and I think that I have it, other parents have it too. And it's, like I said, it's just totally legit. Again, it comes back to why should you not have it? And I get a lot of kind of pushback at home with my one on what's wrong? Why can't I have it? And this is all safe. She has a private account, so she believes that it's safe. And I couldn't say that it's perhaps safer because she has some control over all those who know location, because you're pretty much kind of blinded from what the content is. But that's not true for everyone, which is just I think, again, going back to what can be the dark side of putting your location out. Why are we concerned about you sharing your location, especially in public accounts, right? I think holding up. And also, I think the other side is we spend some time on what are the dark sides and all of that. And I think also holding up those who are using the platform, who are building all these communities, who are doing some great stuff, and they're not doing this, right? And that's the concern. And being able to kind of hold them up as kind of role models, I think perhaps that's really the way. I'm sure they're going to have an update on this, but I'll make sure that this group knows should there be any thinking at our end.
Yeah, but to my knowledge also, even if you're putting up your photograph and your phone settings are not geotagging your photograph taken, through Metapix and photo location, you can find out where you are, even if you're not putting in your location. So how do you educate parents on that? Just by clicking the picture on a location, you can find a person's location. You don't need to say where you are. How do you navigate that digital awareness and telling parents what to control? And kids may know it. This is taught to me by a kid saying, hey, right, you went here. I said, how do you know? I saw your picture and I found out the location through the picture.
And this is where digital literacy comes in, right? This is why so many digital literacy campaigns are targeted at adults as well, because inadvertently you're doing something which could just have, endanger somebody else, right? Maybe not be okayed or whatever, but could be somebody else. So I think that this is where it matters, and which is why we're doing a ton of work on digital literacy with people around the country, with different groups, with women, with adults.
We need more of this than our children. I think.
Yeah, likely. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kids Talk Press now.